Story time with Fergie and friends.
Hello everybody, story time, Fergie and friends. Hello, Parker, the purple penguin. For Purple the Peace Day. Yes, let's all have kindness, let's all have altitude, and let's all remember peace in our hearts. Forgiveness, love, compassion, joy. Now, purple. It's a very unusual colour for a penguin, and no one ever let poor Parker forget that fact. You see, Parker wasn't even a soft, mild shade of purple. He was the kind of purple that reminded you of brightly dyed Easter eggs. Parker was a very purple penguin. Poor Parker, all he had to do was dive into the water for a swim, and all the other penguins would tease and taunt him with giggles and jeers. No, I know what it's like. I've got red hair. Billy, one of the bigger penguins who liked to show off, teased. Hello. Are you coming up? Up you come. Oh, you want to come up too? Okay, come on. You come and find Parker the penguin. Okay, come on then, you guys. Right, okay, ready? Okay, off we go. To show off, teased poor Parker, saying things like, look what you see, it's a purple penguin that looks nothing like me. The other penguins would follow Billy's lead and say unkind things to Parker as well. Every once in a while, Parker would approach the other penguins and ask if he would join their games, but they would walk away from him saying, who would want to be friends with him? Leave Parker here and let's go for a swim. Parker felt so alone. He didn't know why he was purple instead of black like all the other penguins, but what confused him even more was why no one would be his friend just because of the colour of his coat. Yeah, I agree. Parker had so much in common with the other penguins. He loved all of the same games the other penguins his age played. He knew if they only gave him a chance, he would prove what a strong swimmer and fast skater he was. But no one would ever know how fast, strong or fun Parker was, since he always had to do these things by himself. Poor Parker. Because he was alone so often, Parker would spend most of his days, many of his nights, walking and exploring, looking for some fun. He would walk so far that he would discover extraordinary places no one had ever seen before. Parker's favourite discovery of all was a giant ice slide. Parker loved to spend hours playing on his slide, but he always wondered how much more fun it would be to share this place with a friend. One day, Parker decided he couldn't continue to be alone any longer. He had to come up with a plan to make himself more like the other penguins so they would accept him. He watched sadly as the other penguins would run past him laughing as they jumped into the ocean together. How could he make himself the same colour as all the other penguins? Parker thought and thought. Then it came to him, the best idea he'd ever had, even better than the ice slide. Parker would paint himself black, just like the other penguins, and he knew just where to get the black ink from. Parker paid a visit to the oldest squid this side of the Antarctic. Excuse me, Mr. Squid, Parker said, but I'd like to ask you a big favour. Go on, said the squid. As you can see, I look different than all the other penguins, said Parker, and I don't have any friends because of my purple coat. Can you help me? The old wise squid listened carefully to Parker's idea, and even though he thought Parker looked just fine the way he was, the squid kindly allowed Parker to bottle the dark ink he had produced each day. Parker spent the next few days carefully painting himself with the ink, constantly checking his reflection in the water. When he was finally satisfied with the job, Parker put the ink away. Feeling brave, Parker walked toward the group of penguins who were now engaged in a lively game of hide and seek. When Parker walked by, some of the penguins took notice of the new kid in town. Hi, they said. What's your name? Are you new here? Parker had never been asked so many questions and had never felt so wonderful. My name is Patrick, said Parker, trembling. Patrick over here, shouted Billy. Do you want to come and play with us? Oh, sure, exclaimed Parker. And Parker did play. He skated, he played tag, and even played a little ice hockey. This surely was the best day Parker had ever had. Even though he forgot to answer to Patrick a few times, no one ever guessed who he really was. His new friends even asked Patrick if he would play with them from now on. Parker was thrilled. As evening approached, all the penguins decided to jump in the ocean for one last swim before drifting off to sleep. Parker was ready to jump in with them. Then he suddenly remembered his inky black coat. I'm catching a little cold, he said, afraid the water would reveal who he really was. As Parker sadly walked away, he heard a faint bubble and then another coming from the nearby water. Then he turned toward the sound. Parker could see a small baby seal pup trying to catch his breath in the water. The pup was struggling and it looked as if he was in real trouble. Parker tried to get a closer look, and sure enough, the baby pup was tangled in some fishing net and struggling to stay afloat. Without another thought, Parker jumped into the water, quickly untangled the pup and placed the pup on his back. It was difficult to swim with a little seal pup clinging to him, but Parker made it back to shore. By then, a crowd had gathered and immediately helped the baby off of Parker's back. They dried the pup and carried him back to his mother, who was now crying with tears of joy. "Oh, Patrick," the pup's mum said, "how can I ever thank you?" As the crowd turned back to Patrick, they saw drops of black paint falling from Parker's coat. They slowly realised who it was they had been watching. Then the shout Parker was dreading came. "Oh, look!" They all shouted as they pointed to Parker's black coat, now lying in a pool of icy water. "You're not Patrick, you're Parker the purple penguin." Parker watched as all his new friends turned away from him. They gathered in a huddle and started talking to one another and me. Parker waited for the teasing and taunting to begin all over again. Tears rolled down Parker's face as he turned to walk away, realising this single day of friendship, fun and acceptance would just be a memory. He was alone once again. Suddenly, something wonderful happened. Parker felt a tap on his back, and then another pat on his back, and then another. Parker wasn't sure what was happening as he turned to see all of the penguins, including Billy, standing around him. Billy spoke first. "Parker, today you did a very brave thing," he said. "Not only did you save the life of the baby seal pup, but you taught us all a very important lesson." "Not sure what to say," Parker quietly asked. "What lesson was that?" Billy continued. "You taught us that we were only seeing a coat that was a different colour than ours. We didn't see that you are really just like us, maybe even a little braver." Then the other penguins said the words Parker had dreamt of hearing many, many times before. "Would you please stay with us and play? Would you please forgive us for treating you that way?" A warmth came over Parker that he had never felt before. Parker could only respond with a yes and a smile to both questions. Parker said to himself, "This truly is the best day I've ever had." From that day on, Parker could still be found slipping down his favourite slide and plunging into the icy open ocean water, except now he was joined by all of his friends. So, what I'm saying to you, Storytime Fergie and friends, is this not the perfect book for Purple Day, for Peace Day, for the love of friendship, and for never judging anyone by the colour of their coat? Well done, Parker. Well done, penguins. Well done, Parker the purple penguin. And thank you so much, Marybeth Wishart, illustrated by Marianella Aguirre. Well done.
With Fergie and friends, with Fergie and friends.